creating complex solids and surfaces. Hi, Joe Cerrone. Today we're going to take a look at creating complex solids and surfaces from Chapter 5 of our textbook. As we look into this textbook, they talk about using a 3D polyline as a path. And so as we start to work with these different options, we can create these different paths from things like polylines. They have another example here of using a helix as a path. And then they go through the helix command and the sub options for that. So for example, we could create a helix with 3 turns, a diameter of 1 inch, and a diameter of 47.18, and that would be the base versus the top. And then we could also look at the height of that helix, which is 1.0. So as we look at the helix command, it's not uncommon to use helixes to sweep things like triangular shapes and use them for cutting threads. We'll oftentimes do that in manufacturing. So here's the sub options of the helix command. And then you can modify your helix with grips. If you look at the quick properties or the properties, you can alter that information once you've drawn the helix. And then they give us this practice exercise that we're going to go through right now. And so we're going to download this from D2L, and what we're going to do is we're going to make 3D poly the current layer. We're going to then go through and use OSnap. We'll also show the line weights. We'll make helix our current layer, and then we'll draw a helix, and essentially they say to draw it at the lower groove, and they should be saying the lower hole. So let's get started. We'll go to D2L, Module 5, and we'll download 5.1 and open that. Right now we're in 2-dimensional drafting and annotation, and what we could do here is I have the toolbar or the menu bar on, so you can see that the pull downs are on. And if I go to Tools, Toolbars, AutoCAD, let's see if I can find my helix command. So we can locate the helix command right here in the draw menu. I've just pinned it open, and so we'll go and set our layer to our helix layer. We'll check our drafting settings, snap and grid. We're going to have polar tracking on, object snap tracking on, and 3D snap on. We'll OK it. We'll draw a helix at the center of the bottom of the circle here. Radius of the top and bottom are 7.5. We'll make 3 turns, and the input height will be 7.5 as they've said. And essentially it'll just draw a helix within that hole. So we'll say helix, shift middle mouse wheel, glide over and find the OSnap for the center. We'll make that 7.5, and we'll make the top radius 7.5, and then we'll make the height of it 7.5. If we turn on the line weights, There we are. We can see that that's our helix, and that would be the ideal representation for a thread if we were to take a 60-degree triangle and then sweep it and cut it. And the exercise doesn't have us doing that at this time, but let's try to do the second one. The second one might be a little trickier because we might have to alter the UCS placement. Shift middle mouse wheel, we'll come back to our helix command, hover, gravitate over, grab that. As you can see, it's in the wrong orientation because the XY axis is horizontal like this, and so that's not going to work for us, and so I'm going to undo that, and then I'm going to put a helix on the front face of it by using a 3-point UCS. I'm just going to type them in rather than change workspaces, and then I'm going to choose 3, and I'll start with a point here. It's the origin, positive x-axis, positive y-axis. Helix command, hover, acquire, there we go. And then we'll use those same settings where we'll make that 7.5, 7.5, and 7.5. We can then go to our layout. We can right click on that. We can add a template from Oakton. I believe I have one in my downloads. I'll use a mechanical title block here. Double click in the viewport, view, zoom, all, view, 3D view, southeast isometric. And this one I don't think we'll set a scale for. It appears to be a metric drawing, and I have an imperial title block on it, so I'm not going to go through all of the scaling, but I will put this on with a visual style. Double click in the viewport, and we can go with conceptual for that. We can lock that viewport in, and you can still see the helix. It's not as bold as I'd like it to be. And that completes this exercise for practice 5-1.